Whereas the foundation of a free and civil society is its ability to engage in open and respectful political discourse without fear of violence or retribution. And whereas increased political violence has occurred throughout the United States, undermining trust amongst each other and threatening the safety of our community. And whereas Washington State is not immune from such acts of violence, and public servants, civil servants, first responders, and elected officials have been the subjects of targeted threats and attacks that erode decorum and create a barrier between the people and their government. And whereas Pierce County is committed to ensuring that all residents are able to participate in public life, community events, and political activities without fear of intimidation, threats, or violence. And whereas the Pierce County Council recognizes the courage and dedication of all those involved to ensure a safe and democratic process, including election workers, public employees, first responders, library systems, and all those elected, appointed, or employed to serve the public. And whereas political disagreement, regardless of its intensity, must never be used to justify threats, harassment, or acts of violence against any person or group. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of Pierce County. The Pierce County Council hereby condemns all forms of political violence and strongly affirms that violence, intimidation, harassment, and threats have no place in the civic or political life of Pierce County. The Pierce County Council honors the lives, leadership, and legacies of all victims of political violence, and Pierce County Council calls upon all people of Pierce County, regardless of background, party affiliation, creed, or beliefs, to reject all forms of political violence, recommit to respectful and peaceful civic engagement, uphold democratic principles, and respect one another as Pierce County residents. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Krueger. And we also wanted to hear from some people who were kind of listed in this before we take up our own conversation. So we've invited Auditor Farmer here to talk about how elections play a role in this work and some of the experiences that her and her team have had here. And we also have a representative from Congresswoman Strickland's office here this afternoon to talk about, again, they aren't allowed to support or counter anything that we are doing as a vote, but talk about just what political violence looks like at the federal level. So Auditor Farmer, we'll start with you.
Chair Hitchin, Vice Chair Herrera, council members, thank you for having me. It's November 8th, 2023. It's about 8:30 in the morning. It's cold, but it's bright and sunny. It's Wednesday, the day after the general election, our biggest ballot processing day. We have tens of thousands of ballots to count. I was 3 minutes from the office when my elections manager called me and said we had a problem. As part of our daily routine, we had opened a threatening letter with an unidentified white powder in it. It was terrifying. It could be anthrax, it could be fentanyl, it could be plain old baking soda. We didn't know. First responders arrived, EMS, fire, police, hazmat, State Patrol, FBI, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. They isolated the staff member who opened the letter and got them to the ambulance. We evacuated our 100+ staff. We're lucky to be in a big city with resources close at hand. The white powder was field tested at about 10:30 a.m., and it turned out to be plain old baking soda. Tension immediately evaporated, first responders left, their work was done. Ours was just beginning. And I still choke up. This was a big moment. And in that moment, we had a choice to make. I left it up to the staff whether they wanted to leave for the day. They had been through a traumatic event, and I wanted to honor that. They said not only no, but hell no. They wanted to show the world that this act of domestic terrorism was not going to slow down or stop the vote. We were back in action by 11 a.m. I couldn't have been prouder for the team, for the actions of the team that day. Later, we would discover that 5 other counties in Washington and 4 other states were hit with the same white powder. My office has spent decades ensuring the integrity of the voting process. But that cold November day in 2023 was the first time we suddenly had to worry about our personal safety. We also had to worry about protecting democracy itself. We've been on high alert since then. We've made a number of important security changes. And as our environment continues to change, we are constantly evolving so that we can effectively carry out our duty. Your resolution nearly brought me to tears, and I've been kind of fighting it all day. I was immediately transported back to that day, to the terror of the moment, to the question of why would anybody want to hurt us, hurt our staff, and attempt to stop the work of democracy. Thank you for recognizing the courage and dedication of the county's frontline workers charged with protecting democracy. Thank you for taking a strong stance condemning all forms of political violence. You are right. These actions have no place in Pierce County. Thank you.
Thank you, Auditor Farmer. Appreciate you being here and sharing. Peter Ramley from Congresswoman Strickland's office.
Hello, my name is Peter Ramley. I'm going to read a brief statement from the Congresswoman. She's in D.C. today, but she sends her regards. Thank you, Chair Hitchin and the Pierce County Council for inviting me and my office to be a part of this meeting. While our country may have met great disagreement, it is important that we come together as neighbors, Pierce County residents, and as Americans to respectfully discuss our beliefs. Civil discourse is a fundamental part of our American fabric and enshrined in our Constitution. We know any act of political violence hurts us all and makes our communities more dangerous, more divided, and more disengaged. As history has shown us, there is great power in speaking out and engaging with those with different views. Political violence can never be the answer, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this with you all. Thank you for your public service.
Thank you for being here.